Good morning, students. So today we are starting with our next topic, and that is amino acids and proteins. So far in my previous lectures, I have taught you about the features of the biomolecules, the types of biomolecules, that they are of two types broadly. We have classified them into two types, that is biomicromolecules and biomacromolecules. Besides this, we have also studied about the chemical analysis of these biomolecules. So today I am going to explain you about the structure of the amino acids and how these amino acids they form proteins later on. So students, what are amino acids? If we want to define amino acids in a single sentence, then these amino acids are the monomeric units which form the polymer proteins, or you can say polypeptides. So here you can see amino acids, they are organic compounds and they have two main groups that is attached with the tetravalent carbon atom as substituent. One is amino group which is basic in nature and another is carboxylic group which is acidic in nature. So here one carbon atom is present in the center. As you know that carbon atom has tetravalency. So all the four positions corresponding to this carbon atom is substituted here by four substituents. On one position, amino group is present, and on the another position, carboxylic group is there. And on the third position, a hydrogen atom is there. And on the fourth position, a variable group, that is alkyl group, is present here. So this carbon, which is surrounded by four substituents, it is known as the alpha carbon, or you can say this is the carbon which is the alpha carbon, hence they are also known as alpha amino acids. So in other words, you can define it that they are the substituted methanes. So there are four substituent groups and they are occupying the four valency position of this alpha carbon. So at one position, I have already explained, hydrogen is there, then amino group is there, carboxylic group, and the fourth position is occupied by the variable alkyl group. You know very well, student, how alkyls are formed. So these alkyls are formed from alkanes when one hydrogen atom is substituted. So it has one hydrogen less than the corresponding alkane. For example, if CH4 is methane, then CH3 is methyl. Similarly, if we have C2H6 as ethane, so we have C2H5 as ethyl, and so on. Okay, student, based on the nature of the R group, that is the variable alkyl group, there are many types of amino acids. And those which occur in proteins, they are actually the 20 amino acids. So R group in these proteinaceous amino acids, it could be any substituent. It may be hydrogen, it may be some methyl group, it may be hydroxymethyl, whatever. So see in this diagram, the carbon atom which is present in the center, it is substituted by four substituent. Here amino group is there, then carboxylic group, then hydrogen atom is occupying the third position, and fourth position a variable alkyl group is present, which is later substituent by different type of groups. So this is the general structure of an amino group. Okay, student. On the basis of type of substituent present in place of alkyl group. So here in the first amino acid, which is known as a glycine, in place of R or alkyl group, here hydrogen atom is present and rest of the three substituents are same. So the amino acid is a glycine. In the second case, instead of R alkyl group, what is present here? R alkyl group is substituted by the methyl group, and rest of the three substituents they are same. So it is alanine type of amino acid. And the third one is serine. So here in place of variable alkyl group, hydroxymethyl is present, which is CH2OH. This is a general formula of an alpha amino acid, which I have already discussed. Okay, student, regarding the chemical and physical properties of these amino acids. What type of substituents is present more in number? You know that two substituents are main. One is amino acid and second is the carboxylic group. So depending upon the number of amino groups and the number of carboxylic group, these amino acids, they are classified as acidic, basic and neutral type of amino acids. Here I have also written the example of each type. So based on the number of amino and carboxylic group, they may be acidic. If the number of the carboxylic group is more as compared to the amino group, then the type of amino acid is acidic type of amino acid. For example, glutamic acid. And if the number of amino groups or amines number is more as compared to the carboxylic group, so my type of amino acid here is basic amino acid. So example is lysine. So here neutral amino acids are those amino acids where the number of amino group as well as the carboxylic group, they are same in number, and the example is valine. Beside the basic, neutral and acidic type of amino acids, we have another category of amino acids which are known as aromatic amino acids. So these aromatic amino acids are derived from the aromatic compounds. You know that the derivative of benzenes, they are known as the aromatic compound. So here we have three examples of aromatic amino acids. These may be tyrosine, phenylalanine and tryptophan. Here student, the zwitterine structure of amino acid is visible to you. So the amino acids, they undergoes ionization when they are kept in a different type of pH. So pH may be acidic, basic or neutral. So this structure of amino acid, which is a unique structure known as the zwitterine structure of amino acid, it is visible when the ionization of amino acid takes place in a neutral medium. So this is the characteristic feature or the characteristic structure of amino acids in neutral pH. Okay, student, I have already discussed a particular property of amino acid is their ionizable nature. And this ionizable nature is because of amino and carboxylic groups. So here in solution of different pH, the structure of amino acids, they are shown as in the slide. Okay, student, in low pH, that means the pH is if acidic, then ionization takes place and a ketonic type of structure is visible to you in the low pH or acidic pH. Then if the amino acids, they are kept in a neutral pH, then the zwitterionic structure of amino acid is visible to you. And if the pH is very high, that is, it is the basic pH, then anionic structure of the amino acid, it is visible to us. Okay, student, after amino acids, we are going to start here lipids. The students, in our daily life, we generally use the term fats for these lipids. So these lipids are generally water insoluble compound because you know that they are complex organic compounds. They are hydrophobic in nature. They cannot easily dissolve in water. And these lipids, they could be fatty acids, glycerols, and sometimes the fatty acids and glycerols, they are present in a single lipid together. So here students, what is a fatty acid? A fatty acid has a carboxylic group and it is attached to the alkyl group. So alkyl group could be any. It may be methyl, ethyl or higher number of alkyl groups. So the carbon atoms that are present in a fatty acid may be from carbon number 1 to carbon number 19. So you can say that these fatty acids are actually the long chain carboxylic acids. Okay, fatty acids could be saturated if between the carbon atoms that are present in the chain of fatty acids, single bond is found. And if double or triple bonds are present between the carbon atoms of the chain which form the fatty acids, then such type of fatty acids are known as unsaturated fatty acids. Yes, students. The another type of lipids are the glycerols. So what are these glycerols or glycerine? It is actually the trihydroxypropane. That means 3 hydrogen atoms of the propane, they are substituted by the hydroxyl group. So many lipids, they may be have both fatty acids as well as glycerols. So these lipids may be classified as monoglycerides, diglycerides, or triglycerides. How many glycerols they are present in them? These lipids, they are called as fats, and sometimes they are called as oils. This is because of their melting points. You know very well, the oils, they have the low melting points. So generally these oils, they are liquid when the temperature is very low or very less in winters. Yes, students. So here you can see some lipids. They have phosphorus that are attached with the chain of fatty acids and glycerols. And such type of lipids, they are known as the phosphorylated lipids or phospholipids. So these phosphorylated organic compounds or phospholipids, they are generally the constituents of some of our cell organelles and cell membranes. So you have studied the structure of fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane. So here the plasma membrane, it is made up of lipid bilayer, and here the lipids which constitute this lipid bilayer is actually the phospholipids. Beside these, some tissues such as the neural tissues, they also have a sheath made up of lipids. So you have heard in 10th standard about two types of neurons. These may be the myelinated neurons and the non-myelinated neurons. So the neurons which are generally found in the brain and the spinal cord, which are the motor neurons, they are actually called the myelinated neurons because of the presence of this lipid layer. And the presence of this lipid layer, it allows the fast movement of nerve impulse through these neurons. That's why our central nervous system takes few seconds to take decision. Okay, student, the flow chart of classification of lipids is visible to you. So the students, lipids, they are divided into three categories. These may be the simple lipids, compound lipids, and the derived lipids. What are simple lipids? So these simple lipids are actually the esters of the fatty acids. So if we want to define fats, then these fats are actually the esters of fatty acids and glycerols. And sometimes instead of using the term fats, we call them oils. So these oils, they are generally liquid at room temperature because of their low melting point. And later we have also heard one term waxes. So these waxes are actually the esters of long chain fatty acids and long chain alcohols. Next to simple lipids are the compound lipids. So these compound lipids are actually the esters of fatty acids and alcohols. Sometimes they possess other groups too. For example, if sugar is present along with the lipids, then such type of lipids, they are known as the glycolipids. And similarly, in the plasma membrane or the cell membrane, phosphate is attached with the lipid. So they are known as the phospholipids. And the third category of the lipids are the derived lipids. So these are actually formed by the fusion of the hydrocarbon rings. And along hydrocarbon side chains are also present on them. Example of derived lipids, they are the cholesterols. You have heard about cholesterol. It is a complex type of lipid that generally gets accumulated in your blood vessels when you take fat-rich diet. And because of their accumulation, the patient is later suffering from cardiac disorders. The student, here I have written some of the chemical formulas of different type of fats. So first is the chemical formula of palmitic acid, which is a fatty acid, and it is CH3CH2 whole 14COH, that is palmitic acid. So here we have glycerin, which is a trihydroxypropane actually. Then here we have shown the formula of triglycerides. So three alkyl groups that are present in them, R1, R2 and R3, which are the fatty acids. And in the fourth structure, fourth chemical formula is of phospholipids, lecithin. So here a phosphate group, it is present in the lipid chain. And last one is the formula of the cholesterol, which is a complex type of derived lipid. Okay, student, after lipids, we are going to study about the nucleic acids. So students, whenever we are asked to give you the example of nucleic acids, then you know the example very well. This may be DNA or RNAs, which act as a genetic material or hereditary material in your body. So what are these nucleic acids? So these nucleic acids are actually polymers of nucleotides. Sometimes you have also called them as polynucleotides. So if they are polymers, then they also have monomeric units. So their monomeric units are the nucleotides. So student, you must know what is a nucleotide. So a nucleotide is a unit which consists of a sugar molecule, which is in the form of a heterocyclic ring of carbon atoms. And besides sugar molecule, a phosphate group is there. And the third component of this nucleotide is a nitrogenous bases. So if you are talking about the nitrogenous bases, then these nitrogenous bases are of two types. They may be purines or they may be pyrimidines. So these purines, they are again of two types, adenine and guanine. And the pyrimidines, they are also of two types, thymine and cytosine. If we are talking about the structure of DNA, then you always remember the exoskeleton or the two helix of the DNA. It is made up of sugar and phosphate, and in the center of these double helix, in the form of stairs, nitrogenous bases, they are arranged. And always remember, one purine is always binded with a pyrimidine, and they are binded with the help of a hydrogen bond. So if we are talking about the bonding of adenine, then adenine always bind with thymine, and in between them, a double hydrogen bond is present. And guanine always binded with cytosine, and a triple hydrogen bond is present. So these nitrogenous bases, when they are attached with the sugar molecule, the unit which is formed, it is known as the nucleoside. And when the phosphate group, it also gets attached with nitrogenous bases and sugar molecule, then the unit formed is known as a nucleotide. This means a nucleotide contains three things: nitrogenous bases, a sugar molecule, and the phosphate groups. Okay, student, here you can see the structure of the different types of purines, adenine and guanine, and pyrimidines, which are of three types: cytosine, thymine in case of DNA, and uracil in case of RNA. If you're talking about structure of DNA, then always remember adenine, it gets bind with thymine in DNA. But if we are talking about the structure of RNA, so here the adenine, it always bind with uracil because in RNA thymine is not present. Okay, student, here the double helical structure of DNA is visible to you. So DNA is always in the form of a double helix. So here the two helix, they are made up of sugar and phosphate, and inside these, the nitrogenous bases are present in the form of a staircase. Always remember, one purine is binded with the pyrimidine with the help of a hydrogen bond. So here you can see the single strand, and this single strand is actually of the RNA. So this RNA, which is known as a ribonucleic acid, it also acts as genetic material in some of the organisms. Okay, student, the next topic which I am going to discuss here are the primary and the secondary metabolites. So what are these primary metabolites? These are actually the metabolic products of photosynthesis. You know that photosynthesis is a type of chemical reaction that takes place in plants unique to plants. And with the help of this reaction, they manufacture their food. And this food is later available to all animals which are living on this earth. So the metabolic product of photosynthesis, they are actually known as the primary metabolites. And they play important functions as well as roles in normal physiological functions that are occurring in the body of the plants. So what are these secondary metabolites? There are certain chemicals which are produced by the plant as a result of secondary metabolic reactions. And the important thing regarding this chemical is that they are not playing any significant role in the metabolic activities, but they are playing a very important role in the defense mechanism of the plants. And these are known as secondary metabolites. So they may be of different types as alkaloids, flavonoids, rubber, essential oils, antibiotics, colored pigments or dyes, you can say, scents, spices, whatever things you are used generally in cosmetics. They are obtained from these secondary metabolites. So these secondary metabolites, though synthesized by plants for their defense, later man use this because some of these can act as medicines. We can make medicines from them. So they are the chief components of our pharmaceutical industries. Okay, students, again I want to define the term biomacromolecules. As the term itself indicates, these biomacromolecules are very complex, very bigger type of molecules. And when we do the chemical analysis of biomolecules, then we always obtained these biomacromolecules in acid insoluble fraction, which is generally the recantate or acid insoluble pool. So here 4 type of biomacromolecules are there. These may be proteins or polypeptides, nucleic acids or polynucleotides, carbohydrates or polysaccharides, and the fourth one is lipids. Here I am also going to discuss that these lipids, though obtained with biomacromolecules in the acid insoluble pool, but if we are talking about their molecular weight is less than 800 Daltons. So they should be the biomicromolecules. Then why they come under biomacromolecules, that I will tell you later. Okay, students. So here they are always found in acid insoluble fractions. And these biomacromolecules, they are generally the component of various type of organelles, cell organelles, which are present in the cytoplasm. The next term is biomicromolecules. So those molecules which have molecular weight less than 1000 Daltons, they comes under biomicromolecules. And they are always found in the acid soluble pool, that is in the filtrate, when we do the chemical analysis. So this acid soluble pool roughly represent the cytoplasmic composition. So the cytoplasmic composition is actually made up of biomicromolecules. Okay, student, here I am going to discuss why lipids are included in biomacromolecules. So you know that, students, that the molecular weight of the lipids do not exceed 800 Daltons, but still they are obtained with the acid insoluble fraction, which generally contains biomacromolecules. So these lipids, they are the small molecular weight compounds and are present not only as such, but arranged into structures like cell membranes and other membranes. So whenever they grind the tissue, what happens? On disrupting the cell structure, cell membranes or other membranes, when we broken them into pieces, then these lipids, they get isolated and they form vesicles. But these vesicles, they are not water soluble. Therefore, these membrane fragments are in the form of vesicles and it is separated along with the acid insoluble pool. That is the reason these lipids, though their molecular weight is very less, but they are obtained along with the biomacromolecules. So that's all in today's lecture, students. Read your chapter regularly, and in the next lecture we will study in detail more about the structure of different type of proteins, nucleic acids and lipids. Okay, have a nice day.